Welcome back to the Candid Conversation Show. Bonsoir, bienvenue dans Candid Conversation. Na parler des topics un peu mon haïtien, parler de ça. My name is Muriel, and on the show, we discuss topics that are unspoken and taboo in our community. Our guest tonight is Terrance Fisher. We will be discussing this story prior to becoming a head chef, overcoming obstacles, and more.
Terrance, welcome to Candid Conversations.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. How are
Glad
you?
to have you.
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Yes, we want to know about Terrance, growing up, where you're from, your upbringing.
Oh man, I'm from Sanford, Florida.
Okay.
Sanford.
Yeah, Sanford. Bo-Key is in the house, as they would say. Yeah, I'm born and raised 40 years. Yeah, I'll be 41 in March.
Okay.
So yeah, 41 years in Sanford, Florida. Grew up, went to many elementary schools, many middle schools, and then graduated from Seminole High School, class of '97, greatest class ever.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
So tell us about some obstacles that you have gone through before becoming the great chef that you are.
She said, "Great chef." That's funny. I'm blushing. I had, so let's start where this all began.
Yes.
I mean, I had a grandmother and a mother, both very, integral parts of this whole journey,
Okay.
and they planted seeds a long time ago. So when I was 12, my mom would call me and be like, take this out, take this out. I'm like, hated it. But then I would go to my grandmother's house, and I would love watching her, not necessarily doing it, but watching her, bake desserts and stuff and season stuff. And I'm like, she's in this, probably the kitchen was about this big. And I'm like, how in the world is she doing all this in this little kitchen? Because there was 9, my dad had 9 siblings.
Oh,
So there was a big family, and so she's always making, big food.
Okay.
Growing up, seeing all that, like I said, the seeds were planted.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, nah, man, I'm gonna be a CEO, corporate America. I'm working my way up, and then and that's what I did. I went to Bible college, and then I was like, nah,
Okay.
I flunked out of that. So
Flunked?
Yeah, flunked out. I just was like, I just wanted to play basketball. So
Okay.
when I went to school, that was it. That's all I wanted to do, play basketball. So after that, went to community college, but then I still was like, nah. So then I was like, I'm going into the work field. I'm finna just work, and I just
Okay.
worked and worked. And then eventually I worked myself to where I was working at a bank, and everything was going good. Network, I love to network,
Okay.
so I networked to the point where me and the site lead, we became good friends. She would like listen to my calls and stuff like that. And then I was like, man, I'm making it. I'm finna be that guy.
Right.
And sure enough, they would start carving out positions, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is, yeah, I'm
getting there.
I'm getting there,
Right.
because I'm like, okay, 6 figures, a couple cars, And then, you get into a relationship.
Yes.
Relationships. Interesting.
Uh-oh.
And then I always had rules. I said, I'm not going to live with my girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
I was like, nah, I don't want to do that,
Right.
Broke my rule. Shouldn't have did that. So, a couple months into the relationship, everything cool. And then later, then things start to get kind of, wishy-washy. And all of a sudden, she not having half of her, money for this and that. And so
Everything's
I'm like,
on you.
yeah, so I'm starting to question things, and I don't like to, I'm not a confrontational person, I can be, but I choose not to be.
Okay.
So then everything started happening, and I'm like, what in the world's going on? So I called her mom, and I was like, listen, something's not right. And then we went to a party. I'm fast forwarding a lot of this because,
Okay.
For TV.
Right. Thank you.
We went to a party. We had a long week that week. Went to a party, and then came home. She was in the bed. I was on the couch, and then I went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up. My phone was gone. She was gone.
What?
And then so I'm like, what in the world?
Right.
calling my mom, asking her, she's saying there's nothing. And then my boy shows up probably like 3-4 hours later.
Okay.
And then, so he shows up with my phone, and I'm like, dude, what in the world? And so, come to find out, she had, you know, was with them, we had mutual friends, so
Okay.
she was with them. And then 4 police cars come up, vroom, vroom, and I'm like, man,
Oh, my
somebody
goodness.
finna go to jail.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
What?
so somebody did
Somebody
something
did
wrong.
something.
And so they called my name.
Oh.
They said Terrance Antoine Fisher. Well, first of all, that's when I know I'm in trouble.
Right.
I said, yes. He said, come down. I said, nah, I'm not coming down. You know,
Oh.
and so then I finally come down, and it was 4 cars, so
Okay.
it was
Serious.
that many officers.
Yeah,
I mean,
serious.
so it's like, why do you need so many cops for? You know, I'm a big guy, but I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Right.
So the cop put the cuffs on me, and at first they put 2 cuffs on me, and I couldn't. And I said, man, it's this tight, like he
Right.
was hurting me. And so they put the 3rd one on, and then
Oh,
so
goodness.
then they told me what I was charged with, and then so the officer told me my charges. He said, you're under arrest for false imprisonment, which I didn't even know what that was.
False imprisonment.
False imprisonment is when I'm blocking the door so you can't leave the house.
Okay.
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 Okay? So that's false imprisonment. Domestic violence,
Okay.
you know, so altercation, fight, whatever it may be. Then the last one, I mean, and everybody know, I mean, this last one is a big one.
Right.
He said rape.
Oh.
Pause.
Oh,
I
wow.
said, what?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Right.
Right. Who?
I said, no, I've never in my life, you know, I may not be the most handsomest person in the world, but I've never
Right.
had to take or force myself
On anyone.
on a female, especially considering that I was raised by a female, my aunts, my, you know,
Right.
and I have nieces, and I'm like, no.
Like, this is something's wrong. Wait
Listen,
a minute.
When I went in front of the judge and he told me I would be facing 60 years
How
for
many
these
years?
60 years in prison.
Oh my goodness. How did you feel that second when they said that?
Oh, I almost died.
60
Yeah,
years.
I literally almost died at that moment. That's when all of my growing up, I never knew I had depression until, and then all that came back that very moment to where I was in the deepest, darkest place ever.
Of course.
And to play that over your head, you know, you sitting there and someone asks you, because that I mean, you convicted of that, you're done.
Yeah, you're
You know, like you
That's it,
can't,
right.
you know, you can't do anything. And
No.
that wasn't me, you know. It
And
took,
this is somebody that you were in a relationship
yes,
with
that was
that
the key.
accused you of something like this.
The person that I told, I love you,
Right.
I'm want to, you know, be with you and let's create something.
Right.
You basically just took my heart and literally pulled it out of my chest
Threw
and
it away.
said, F you.
That's what happened.
I don't care about you.
Yes.
You know, it is one of those things where it affected me so much, you know, throughout, even after that whole thing.
Right.
And this is how, you know, even going through that. So this is how God works, right? And for people that don't believe, you know, I mean, just listen to me. I'm explaining something to you. I'm in that situation. I'm not. That's what I'm in right now.
Right.
Weeks are going by, and I'm literally waiting for a date to go to court.
So you're in jail at this time.
No,
You're sitting-
I only
oh, okay.
spent 40. No, I spent 36 hours in jail.
Okay.
And what was that like?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't. The people that go back and forth and bounce.
You don't understand
I
it,
don't
right? Like,
understand
what?
Because that 36 hours, I was sitting there going, bruh, this ain't me.
Yeah.
I am not. This is not a lifestyle that I chose
Right.
to live. I wasn't raised this way.
Right.
So all of those thoughts went through my head, you know. And then, as a mother, when your son, your oldest son,
Right.
is facing, you know, these allegations,
Right.
because they were allegations,
Yes.
you know. Now, mind you, some people, you know, chose to take her side and say, "Oh, well, I knew he was capable of doing that. Wait a minute.
And you don't know me.
No, you didn't.
Right.
Because you were the same person that I helped do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I helped you in this moment. I did this for you. And I'm the person that willing to go above and beyond for anybody.
Right.
You know? And so even in that, I was just like, come on, man. So fast forward, I'm in this situation. This is like, my life is about to pretty much end.
Right.
And I'm in bed. I'm depressed. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. And then I hear that she's out partying, and I'm going, wow.
Why?
Wow.
Why
I
did
can't
she do
believe
this?
she did this, And that was my thing. I never got an answer, never, and it took a while, but I mean, I forgave her.
Okay.
But during that time when I was, in that deep, dark moment, I was home watching TV, and a commercial came on 13 times in a row, same commercial.
Speaking to you.
First couple commercials, I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. 8, it started getting loud. And then by 10, 11, I knew the commercial by heart.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Talking to you.
It was a Le Cordon Bleu commercial. So I said, man, I'm not going to go to this school. Called the school. They said, yeah, come out on this date. So I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I got all this going on. And the guy even said, I told him what I was going through right there. I said, listen, this is what I'm going through. And he said, you seriously want to do this? He said, I'm going to explain 2 things to you. If you start, you will be charged. And if you have to come out of the program, you still will be charged. Period.
Okay.
So
Either
once
way,
you start it,
that's
that's it.
That's it.
I said, all right, let's go.
So I'm going to start
I
this.
said, let's start. And something took over because it was just like I started seeing things. Like, I was a C student in school most of my life. And so I walked past, touring the school. I seen this thing, is Eta Sigma Delta Honor Society.
Okay.
And I said, what is that? He said, oh, that's our honor society. You have to be inducted into that. I said, bet, I'm going to be inducted into that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Just
why I
something
said
telling you
that.
to do
It just was like, I just was like, all right, cool. Never once tried to be on any
Right.
honors role at all in high school. And 6 months into the program, I got inducted into the honor society.
Aw, congrats.
That's nice.
Backtrack,
Yes.
and we say, when I went to court, I hired me a female lawyer, a white female lawyer, because one of my favorite basketball players, Kobe Bryant, he went through the same thing prior to my issue.
Right.
And so he hired a female lawyer that was white. I did the same exact thing. Because if you are going to sit there and say, I have a white judge, the girl was white, I'm not I can't hire someone,
Right.
black to represent. No, I got to hire somebody white because now we white on white. I can't. That was my thought process behind it, because, and even then, she got up to speak. The judge said, sit down. I
Really?
said, so she can't even talk. My lawyer couldn't even talk.
Okay.
I said, they finna throw me under the jail because of my size.
Right.
So my size is what, they were looking at. And I said, dude, I said, Lord, I don't know what you need to do, but I'm not going to jail. Not for that. I said, and I was like, I think I just turned 30.
Okay.
And I'm like, why would I wait till I'm 30
To do something like
to
this.
start breaking the law, especially that? Like, it's not the first time I started dating outside of my race. I was doing it since I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I knew the rules.
Right.
There's rules to it, And I'm like, nah, man, this ain't right, And sure enough, the state came back and said, because I had nothing. I
Right.
had no prior nothing.
Right.
Run-ins with the law or anything. So then my lawyer came and he said, this is what the state offering you. You have to go to this class. And I said, all right, so be it. Mind you, I had to go to the class, and then I had to admit to it in the class. And
Really?
It didn't sit well with me. And I said no at first, but the lady said, if you do that, then
They're
they're
going
going
to
to
put you in jail.
put you in jail. I said, all right, I guess I have to do it. And I said, Lord, you know my heart, period. I am only saying this because of this.
Right.
So therefore, whatever you need to do or whatever needs to come about from this,
Make it happen.
so be it. You know what I mean? Like if I have to be the one to go through this
Right.
to help somebody else,
That's right.
then so be it. And that's what that was my heart. And literally, like I dove into culinary school and I hit it hard. And like I said, I had never had any aspirations or anything of being a chef, or cooking was fun for me.
Right.
You know, I was good at it. Because people would tell me, oh man, this reminds me of my mom's stuff, and
Right.
I like that feeling of, you know, when someone eats your food and they just kind of have one of them, oh, you know,
so
and so, yeah. So for me, it was just like, all right, cool. I like that feeling. And then I always, even my culinary instructors, I always wanted them to give me the hardest way to do things. I always wanted you know, he was like, this is the easy way, and this is if you want to. Let me get the hard way. Show me. I wanted the most difficult part because I don't want this to be easy because I know what I could have been. You know what
Right.
could have been, and I said, no, man. This is if this is where God is placing me,
Right.
then give me the hardest steps possible.
Amazing.
You know.
Amazing.
So, yeah. That.
Oh my God.
That is my journey.
That's a serious journey right there. Tell me what happened with your depression. How was that?
Oh, that depression was still something that I never dealt with until I ended up getting married, and my ex-wife now, but at the time my wife, she said we need to go to counseling. I'm like, man, I'm not going to counseling. I'm not.
I don't
doing
need
that.
counseling.
I don't need that. You know, like because that's one of those stigmas. Like you just pray about it. You're gonna be all right. You just pray about it. You'll be good. But it had got to the point where it was so severe that I literally would go days and she would just see a difference in me, and she said, you're not, the light is going out of your eyes, so something's not right. So then when I met with a therapist and she started talking, and she said, we got to put you on medication. And a lot of it was coming from the job that I was at because I wasn't in the thing that was giving me the light, which was the kitchen.
Okay.
And so when I was at the bank, and it was just sucking the life out of me. And then I took a leave of absence, and then through that leave of absence, went to therapy, and I went with her, and then I have a daughter, so we have a daughter. She's not my biological daughter, but I mean, I'll never not, I mean, that's my girl. So we all went as a family, we went individually, because then I started to understand more. And then I started to dig into it more, and then I started to read more, and then I said, wait, I do have a problem. Now it's time for me to address that problem head on. But by the time that I really addressed the real issues, which was that pain that this person that said they loved me did to me, I took it out on the person that I said, will you marry me?
She loved you.
She loved me, but I didn't know that because I was still shielded.
Right, protecting yourself.
Protecting. I'm like, nah, man, and so in that, my marriage went, I mean, there was a lot of other stuff that went on in there, but the core of it all, when I go back and look and sit down and have that honest conversation with myself, it's because I didn't allow her to love me fully. Because I was still blocking, that part of my heart.
That's definitely understandable.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I'm glad you were able to forgive her.
Oh yeah. So I wrote a letter, a long letter to my ex-girlfriend that did, those allegations. I wrote a whole letter and then I burned it, and then that helped me. That taught me how to forgive a lot of people and start to then forgive my dad and mend those relationships and so like through my journey through this whole thing, this whole process, it's just been mending, and then just being like, all right, cool, like now I get it, like now I'm gonna be who I'm supposed to be. And yes, I've lost a lot, but I look at the bigger picture where like I'm on TV now.
You're on Candid Conversation.
On Candid Conversations, you know what I mean?
So tell me though, therapy, are you currently in therapy? And tell us what that did for you.
I am not currently in therapy, but I am not against therapy.
Okay.
Right.
I use now I've gotten it down to where I figured myself out enough to where about 3 years ago, I said, listen, man, I'm going to take the next 100 days and literally dig into my mental, spiritual, and physical
Okay.
being. And literally, I woke up and I went at myself. I looked in the mirror and I said, dude, you gotta do better. Like, who are you?
Right.
Who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? You know,
Okay.
do you even love yourself?
Okay.
You know, and I mean, I asked myself those questions. I had an honest conversation back and
yourself.
forth with myself. So I was my own therapist, you know, and I dug deep. And then those 100 days came. I said, you know what? Let's do another 30 days.
You did a cleansing.
And, right.
Yes.
And then so
Detox.
after that,
Uh-huh,
I was
detox.
cool because then now it's like, all right. The next thing was I called my cousin. He's like, that's my guy, you know, and he said, cuz you sound better.
Okay.
He said, because I was worried. And he's that one person that I, you know, once I call, he knows like the tone
He knows.
and everything, and without even me having to say anything.
Exactly.
So he said, I want you to read this book. Kingdom Man is the first book he gave me.
Okay.
So I read that book. Excellent book for those that, you know, read. Great book. So I read the book. So then I was like, yo, I need to read more. So then I started challenging myself to read more.
Okay.
And then so now this year it's like, okay, I want to do 2 books every month. You
Okay.
know, whether
Very
they're motivational books,
Right.
whether they're inspirational books, whatever it may be. But in that though, I found so many things on YouTube. So there was 4 people that helped me get to where I am now. You know, it was Ray Lewis, one of the greatest football players. I love Ray
Okay.
Lewis.
Yes.
His motivational, the way he's attacked,
Right.
you know, his mental fortitude. Les Brown.
Yes.
I mean, I love his voice. I mean, his comedic thing. You know, Eric Thomas. I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
That guy, I mean, everybody, if you, I
He's
mean, it's
incredible.
Eric
Everybody
Thomas,
knows,
you
yes.
know. And then Kobe Bryant,
There
you
you
know, and may he rest in peace, you know.
Yes.
And that one was, you know, Kobe was the Mamba mentality, and people go, you know, and I was on it, you know, from years ago.
Right.
And just the mental toughness, and I seen him transform and go through his situation.
Right.
And like I was telling you guys earlier, you know, for me it was deeper when he changed his number. It was, the number 8 was such just it was like a kid. He was immature. He
Right.
was, you know, a
Right.
childlike. And then he said, you know, I need to grow up. I'm going to go to 24.
That's
Had
right.
nothing to do with Michael Jordan. It was about maturity. His maturation had caught up
Yes.
with him. And then he started to evolve as a person. And then he started to become more philosophical within himself. And he started to have those conversations with himself.
Himself.
So then he started doing the videos. So then I'm looking going, yeah, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so that's when I started attacking things like, you know, competition, cooking competitions,
Right.
and different things. And I said, you know, I have power, and my words have power.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can either, that word rape can be, that's a powerful word,
Right.
or you can say, you know what, I'm not going to give in to that.
That's right.
I'm just going to start loving. I'm going to be loved.
That's
I'm going
great.
to just
Good for you.
share love.
Wow.
you
Good
know?
for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's it.
Tell us about this good food.
Oh man, the food. I mean, you know, I only cook on Thursdays.
Only Thursday.
No,
Really,
I'm just
right?
kidding. Nah, I love cooking. Cooking. There's something about cooking that when people eat your food, you know, it takes them back to memories of, you know, I was just up in Brunswick, Georgia, and I watched a guy literally take the bowl and eat it. He's dropping, you know, stuff on the floor, but his next comments were, man, this reminds me of my mom's dish, da-da-da-da-da. And you can tell he was back there as a kid.
Right.
Those moments right there, I mean, those are priceless. That for me, I mean, no money that I make from any event or whatever will replace those feelings
That
that I
feeling,
have, you
right.
know. So,
I'm
and
so
I always
sorry.
tell people, it's not about the money.
There you
know,
go. I'm so sorry that you had to go through everything that you have gone through, but it's made you who you are right now.
Right. I think so. I used to be upset about it, but then I kind of embrace it now, and then I talk about it now.
Yes,
You know,
good.
because it's not about me.
That's
Now
right.
it's about helping someone else.
That's
right.
right.
You know.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yes.
My pleasure.
We cannot let you leave here without talking about your Jade sauce.
Ah!
And hopefully you brought us some.
The Jade sauce, man. And you know, a couple years ago, I got my first job at a country club, and they needed a sauce for some wings, and I just came up with something. And I don't write stuff down, so for me, again, it was God sent
A
because
little bit of this, a little
yeah,
bit of that.
and then so I remembered it, and then now I was like, okay, last year I was like, let me find a bottle, put it in a bottle, and then before I was like, man, what am I gonna name it? And then my daughter's my inspiration, you know, and like I said, I mean, I'm still part of her life, so her middle name is Jade, and that's where it
There
came
we go.
from,
Very
and
good.
she's my inspiration, you know, so.
So you can put it on anything, or just
Oh, it
meat,
goes on
chicken,
anything. Nah.
ribs,
It go on everything. I had a client told me the other day, he said, man, I put it on everything.
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 He said, even bacon. He said he put it on everything.
I can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
So tell us some of your upcoming projects that you may have.
Oh, projects. I have a lot of speaking engagements that I'm going to
Okay.
be doing and talking to other culinary students and high schools that I get the opportunity to share with my journey. I also have some projects that I'm working on, trying to create a cooking camp,
Okay.
and then book, of course.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have a title from a book, you know,
Really?
Diary of a Mad Chef.
All right.
You know?
I like
and
it.
mad is M.A.D, you know, it's motivated and determined.
All
so
right.
the ability to take, you know, try to take negative words and flip
Positive.
them and make them positive.
That's right.
Awesome. I love it.
So, yeah.
Tell them how they can get in contact with you.
You can reach me on Instagram at Chef Terrance Fisher or Facebook at Chef Terrance Fisher.
That's
Thank you
great.
so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And
It's been
thank
fun.
you for sharing your journey.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
We hope you can come back and actually let us taste some of this food.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to do that. You know, we
Okay.
have to. Let me call my agent.
Yes.
I have them set something up. You
Okay.
I'm so glad that we got you on the show now
Yeah.
before you become so famous that you have no time for us.
Know? Nah, I want to always make time.
Okay.
Make time.
We appreciate it.
All right, my pleasure.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to Candid Conversations. Join us next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for another transformational show. In closing, Thomas Edison said, many life failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Never give up. Live your life to the fullest and fight for your dreams. Thank you for tuning in to Candid Conversations.